And we will start with our first public hearing on amending the lodging ordinance. And this is an effort that's already been approved by the state, but hasn't. We haven't had our final vote on the ordinance here. We have published that change in the local Public Oregon, which is the News Observer, and we will have another publication in that starting tomorrow for the next week. So the basic process on that is to publicize that 2 weeks running in the local ordinance, local Oregon, and then to have 2 public hearings, which we will have prior to our regular meetings. And this would be the first one. And that's simply to raise the lodging tax from 5 to 6% county-wide, and to do that beginning January 1st. So do you have any other comments, Commissioner Patterson, before we open the floor for the citizens?
No, I'm fine. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Well, at this time, if you wish to speak on this matter, please raise your hand, be recognized, and come to the podium. Anyone? Jody, you're going to sit back there and be quiet?
I'm happy to answer a question.
Absolutely.
Well, just
you mind coming to the podium? And I'm sorry, I didn't wear my hearing aids today. I'm starting to wear them less and less these days, so you can take your mask off if you wish. I can hear a little better, maybe.
Okay, I'm Jody Mull with the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce, for those who don't know me. Basically, as far as how it impacts the chamber, there's really no change. It'll be the same percentage. You know, we currently get 50%
yes.
of that from
yes.
the county, so that will change with the 6%. There's some different variations as far as how much is restricted and non-restricted, and there's a product development piece.
Right. And it's simply up to you guys to handle that part. But
correct.
The percentage will not change. From the
correct. The percentage that we're receiving will not change.
That is,
there's that percentage
right.
that goes into product development that can be used for things to benefit our community as well as visitors.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of great things you can do with that addition. You can do things when people are talking about product development. I mean, there's a whole litany of
there's a
things
whole list of
physically
things
that you can do in the county.
Correct. It could be for parks, trails, anything, something new, improving something that already exists.
Things that people can see and benefit
exactly.
from. It's not just getting it out of the pocket with no return.
Exactly. We're very excited. I personally am very excited about that percentage that help improve things that we have here, the products that we have.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Anybody else before we close the public commentary on the hotel motel ordinance? Anyone else? Okay, we will close the public hearing on the amendment ordinance, and we will open our regular meeting. Commissioner Johnson may or may not be here. Is that correct, Ms. Walker?
He probably will not be here.
Okay, all right. Well, we do have a quorum. Commissioner Patterson and myself. I think two out of three makes a quorum, doesn't it, Glenn?
I think so.
All right. Okay.
That's right.
All right. I'll ask that you lead us in invocation, please.
Let's bow our heads. Lord gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you now, thanking you for all your blessings of life and the love you've shown us, Lord, more than we can ever fathom. You're so good to us. Thank you for your protection during this time of COVID virus, Lord. We just pray that you would be with those that are hurting now, Lord, that have contacted with me, especially with Johnny Searcy, your civil servant, Lord, that they have a procedure, and that you would just guide the hands of your servant, the surgeons, Lord, and that you would just touch him and his family, Lord, and give them peace. And Lord, we just thank you for this gathering. Give us wisdom that we will do the right things for the citizens of Fannin County, Lord. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item of business, unfinished business, is to approve the minutes from the October 13th Board of Commissioner meeting. Commissioner Patterson, do you have anything to add to that, sir?
No, I have not. It's fine. I have no issues.
All right. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve those minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Okay, regular public commentary. Does anyone wish to speak? If so, please raise your hand, come to the podium and be recognized. Anyone? Anyone? If no one wishes to speak, we will close public commentary and move on to new business. Our first three items are all variance requests. And the first one we have, item number 2, is a variance request from Blue Marlin LLC. And this is to build a house with a porch 25 feet from the edge and 35 feet from Black Gum Lane. And this is on a private road subdivision. Mr. Patterson, if you have any thoughts on this variance request, sir?
Went out and looked at this yesterday. It is existing. We poured the foundation and going up with it a little bit. I think there's some situations, as you see on the variance, 2006 has been poured. But other than that, I have no issues with it at all. I think it will work out.
Okay. Was there anyone here that opposes this variance? No one? And this is for Blue Marlin LLC at 135 Black Gum Lane. Okay. I really didn't have a problem with anything about this except that the variance was not posted properly. And I really feel like that's an important issue when we look at variances is for the people requesting this to have this posted prominently. The reason for that is in case any of the neighbors or anyone in that area have a concern, then they can read that. What I would probably think about doing at this point is not approving it at this meeting, but at the same time, I didn't feel like there was any need to put a stop work order in there. Yes, sir. Do you have an objection? Or?
I'm Blue Marlin LLC. I guess I can come up.
You absolutely can. Sure.
Before you can hear me. I don't think anybody's here to Black Gum or not. As far as I know, there were some questions with the homeowners association there. The existing walls were poured in 06 by Kevin Ware, and when we started construction, we have a bump out that's in question on that cabin. I have come to an agreement with the homeowner association that I will remove that. So the variance is really not needed as far as I know. We have come to an agreement. Or I have with the president of the HOE.
Okay.
So, and I really thought somebody would be here from Blackman, but yeah, that variance was, what happened was those walls, they have problems in there with other people, I think.
We're well aware of that.
Yes, so anyway.
Well, the variance is needed from the county's perspective,
Okay.
irregardless of the homeowners.
Okay.
But what I would like to do, I believe that variance was, I couldn't find it. I understand it was kind of hidden behind one of the porta potties.
I found it.
I saw it.
Fine.
Okay.
I didn't have any problem finding it, but was my goal because I built, you know, spec cabins and,
Uh-huh.
I've been up here for 30 years every other week. And so it was, you know, it was something done with that without my knowledge on that bump out heating, and then there were other houses that were, it just goes back to the walls were poured in '06 and, you know, whether they were gonna be grandfathered in or not, but instead of having a major blow up over there, I just told them that I'd be happy to get back whatever makes me happy.
That's neighborly of you.
You know, well, I'm trying to build a cabin to sell, I don't want it tied up in litigation.
No, that-
And I mean, it's 4 feet, I can do without 4 feet.
Right.
But, so the last I talked to the president, you know, they were fine with me moving the bump out, which was in question.
Okay.
But no, I'd seen the variant that was posted on the tree that, and the writing was large enough for me to even
Yeah.
read without these glasses on.
Did you see it okay?
I did.
You saw the variance
I
out there?
did. Yeah,
Okay.
it was right in front.
Yeah.
I could not see it there from, I mean, had that moved since the other day, Keith, when you were
Now
out there?
that I don't know. I know that this morning I went by, there is a porta potty in front of the tree there. And yeah, if you stopped in the right place, the porta potty would be blocking your view of the sign.
I got out of the car, but that, I mean, that thing's going up.
Yeah.
I mean, if there'd been an issue, they should have been here, because it's going up.
Well,
They got walls.
the only thing about it is, I mean, you should be able to see a variance poster without having to get out of your car.
Yeah.
But if you knew,
Drive by.
yeah, if you knew where it was, you
But
could.
if you didn't know where it was, if you were just a neighbor.
I don't know what other tree they would have put it on.
Yeah.
Because there's really not right there.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
not
a point we're trying to make,
Right.
that it's a big deal to make sure these are posted prominently, so that people don't have to get out and search for it where they can see it. I won't belabor that point, Mr. Patterson. If you saw, Joe Meyer could see that.
I did.
I couldn't, but it doesn't sound like you've got any issues with your.
No, I wanted to make them happy, that was my goal, just make them happy.
Well, I didn't have a problem with the variance per se as far as what was going on there. I really didn't. And we've had some experience out in that subdivision before, so
I can only imagine.
yeah, you certainly can imagine. Okay.
Well,
Well,
I haven't built a spec house at non-permanent, I mean,
Keith, did you have any issues, Keith, when you went out?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, all right.
thank you.
We'll vote on this right now. Thank you. Okay. All right, Commissioner Patterson, you want to make a motion to approve the variance for Blue Marlin LLC?
Yes, I would. I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second that motion. All in favor? Variance is approved. You're welcome to stay if you wish, but you don't have to.
Thank you.
You'll get your money back for leaving early.
Thank you.
Okay, the item number 3, variance request from Paul and Leslie Melman. And this is to build a garage 22 feet from the edge and 28 feet from the center line of River Meadows Lane. Is there anyone here that objects to that variance? And I know this one was posted very prominently there on that property.
Right.
What say you on that one, this one, Commissioner Patterson?
I don't have a problem with it. Went over this morning, and there was some guys working there and showed me the post and everything. Mr. Mailman is here if there's any questions, and it looks fine to me. I have no objections.
Is that proper to, your name Melman or Mailman? How do you?
Mailman.
Mailman,
Yes.
okay. All right. Well, Mr. Mailman, I've looked at it myself. It's at the end of that road, and I absolutely have no problems at all with what you're trying to do down there. So I'll be glad to make a motion that we approve this variance for Paul and Leslie Mailman. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Variance is approved. And again, sir, you're welcome to stay or leave, whatever you wish.
Wife's waiting for me outside.
That's not rude to leave, we understand. You're very welcome. Item 4 is a variance request from AJ and Jamie Petrillo, and this is to build a deck 5 feet from the property line. And there's some documents that go along with this, including a letter from the adjoining property owner. Is there anyone here that objects to this variance? Is there someone here that's representing you? Are you Mr. Petrillo?
I am.
Okay, all right. Keith, why don't you come on up and tell, there's a little history on this that we probably need to discuss before we move ahead.
Just so y'all will know, a previous commission board approved a variance there once before the house was built. There was actually a mobile home there, and they approved a variance at that time. I believe it was in '06, I think.
05 or 06.
Yeah. To build the house back on the footprint of the trailer, mobile home. And that's the reason the current home is within 5 feet already. And they're not extending the deck porch any closer than what the house is. But I just want to let y'all know those circumstances on this.
Would you recall how far back that variance previously was approved?
It was approved just to go into the footprint,
As is.
as is, yeah. The previous mobile home, that's where it was, and that's where they put the house back.
Keith, my question was that with a letter from Mr. Satterfield, it says I give my neighbors, AJ and Jamie, permission to build a porch within 15 feet of my property line. And this says 5 here, so there's a discrepancy there.
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
When we applied for the variance, we didn't know exactly, when I went in and talked to Candace, she said that if it's within 15 feet, I think was that I have to apply, so that's what it was implied, within the 15 feet. It wasn't, he didn't put exactly 5.
Well, you put exactly 5, and then he put 15, which means that, you know, he didn't give you permission, in other words, to give it 5 feet, it has to be 15.
Isn't there the one that, did he sign another one?
I don't see one of you. Is that it?
We got a preliminary letter from
I
him.
see it. I didn't get that. I didn't get that one. That's fine.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have anything.
I don't have any
Keith,
questions.
Okay. Well, Mr. Petrillo, I normally wouldn't approve anything that close here regardless of the letter. But the circumstances where, I guess, that is in your favor from my perspective, you're already there.
Right.
And you're not really going closer to the property. If that were the case, that would be a problem, but you're just extending, and what I could see, you're just on down that fence line, you're not going any closer to that. And I know you had already started that construction, and you said that you had, which is good. Some folks don't even, they try, that's why we go look at it. Some people say nothing started when it has, so appreciate you being straightforward with that. I would go along with this since you're already there and we're not going anywhere closer. I would want some kind of document or something put in our minutes to really specify that for a future board where because we've had people we've turned down for going that close, but it was a standalone movement. It wasn't something where you're already there. And I didn't really have a big problem with that since you were already there. But I think in this case, just to be fair to everyone, we need to note, at least if Mr. Patterson, if he says no, we can't do it because there's just the two of us here today. But if we approve this, I think that we would want to have something spelled out for a future board for the protection of the county to do that. Ms. Doss, do you have any comments on that,
No,
of whether
I
that's
just-
the wrong thing to do or not?
No, that's the very right thing to do, but I think for clarification, when you say already there, as I understand it, Mr. Petrillo is building or rebuilding on a structure or foundation that previously existed. Is that correct?
That's,
It's in the same line as it is.
Yes. So it's not,
it's basically, when you go out there and look, you're looking straight at his house and behind it the lake. And in the same plane, his house is already 5 feet from the line. So he's just adding on a little porch there. It's in the same direction as what he already
Correct.
It's
had.
not gonna go any further.
and that's what I was clarifying, because when you said already there, but you also said that Mr. Petrillo disclosed that they had already been working. I don't want someone to read that to say, well, since you went around us and you were already building a structure, we're going to not make you tear it down, and that's not the case.
Right.
It is in fact, there was a structure there, and this is here, and it, as you said, it's in the same plane or line
Mhm.
with what is already existing.
Yeah, I don't have any doubts at all. You're just trying to improve your property and you were already that close and the neighbor said it was okay.
I didn't even think about it. I
I-
apologize for that.
I understand that completely. So I don't feel like I need to punish you for not knowing everything like that. If you were just building a new lot and wanted to go that close, I would definitely vote no on it. But how long have you been in your home there, Mr. Petrillo?
Almost 15 years.
How many years?
15?
15 years, okay.
Yeah, they're really narrow, small
Yeah.
lots over there. So everybody's really close to it.
How long has your neighbor lived there?
I think he's been there for 18 or 20.
Well, if you've been there, neighbors, it's 15 years and he likes you enough to say,
Oh.
okay, you must be a pretty good neighbor.
He went out of his way real fast
Did he?
to get that for us. Yeah, he's great. We get along great.
Well, what we're trying to do is not impact negatively someone else's property. And that property value out there on the lake, is, I don't have to tell you how valuable it is, and we don't want to do anything that impedes that. Every time I go out there and look, I see some things that, maybe in the past maybe shouldn't have been done, but who am I to say that? You got any further thoughts on this one, Commissioner?
No, Chairman, I would be willing to go along with that as long as you said we have some documentation for future commission boards and legally keep us safe.
Do we need to add something to the minutes for this, Ms. Doss, or what?
No, I think, and you've got the video, so I think it's gonna be very well documented, the reason for the fact that there was what might otherwise seem to be a deviation from the policy.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, do I hear a motion? We approve this motion for Mr. and Mrs. Petrillo?
Make a motion.
Okay. I'll second that motion. All in favor? You're approved, Mr. Petrillo.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Very well. Before we move to the financial report, Mr. Graham will be reporting his findings on the bids for the disaster debris monitoring at the next commission meeting, which would be November the 10th. So we'll strike item number 6 and go straight to item 5, which is our year-to-date financial report. Did you ladies in the press get your copies? Do we have extra copies, Ms. Walker, if anyone care for a copy of the year-to-date financial report?
Chairman, I didn't get one.
Did you not get a report?
I don't think I did, maybe didn't you?
We're starting Halloween on you a little early, aren't we, Commissioner? Well, in a very challenging year, didn't start out that way, and it certainly has turned out that way for our county, our state, surrounding counties, our whole nation. This is certainly an important thing for us to stay on top of. The first item that we will look at, first page, is the risk management. And again, this is January through September year to date. And our health claims, as you recall, July 1st, we went from the partially self-insured program to a traditional. The main difference there is that previously, when you go self-insured, you try to put in funds, reinsurance to lower the overall cost, but it's basically you're insuring yourself and you're at the mercy of having some bad luck if employees have some tragic illness events. And the county decided to start July 1st with more of the traditional insurance, which is costing, and again, we're just talking the health part, about $200,000 per month. And then the general liability is on top of that. So we combine those into the one budget item, but we split them out from the health care claims, which is one line item, and the general liability, which is just the liability insurance on the county and the assets and any potential litigation that come up. What we have at this point is we're still dealing year to date with half a year of the self-insured, and then as we've moved on, we've had 3 months of the conventional insurance. But combined, we've had earlier in the year some employees with some very high events, and we have to insure them. So the cost year to date, we are running significantly over what was budgeted. And quite honestly, the budgeted amount for this year was too low. I'll take the responsibility for that. We should have been a little more aggressive in what we budgeted for this year. But when you go self-insured, you don't really know. Going forward, those numbers, you may lose the opportunity if you have savings, which is the idea to go to self-insured that the county did 4 years ago, actually. But going forward, the budgeted amounts, when you have that each month, you'll be able to tie that. It'll be more of a stair-step, equal number during the year, and not as likely to go over. It's just the total amount that you have may be greater, which is part of what you have to do with negotiating. So making that as clear as mud, as I'm sure I have, the claims that we have this year and the carryover claims from some old insurance that will still be determined. But right now, through this year, we are running significantly over on that amount. Our next page is the administration actuals, and the only area, the number you're looking for on that percentage on the last column is 75%, since we're 3/4 through the year. So any expenditure or budget item that's 75% or under is doing well. You'll see an exception there for the risk management, of course, that's running over. The debt that's listed at 100% is simply a function of timing, and that number is the courthouse debt. The payments this year were 2 payments for a total of $1,120,750, and we just made that second payment for this year. So that 100% that appears to be over at this point is really not, because it will not increase during the year. And one more year, and the total debt for the county, long-term obligation debt, that will be off of there, which makes it essentially very little. Any questions on that, Commissioner Patterson?
No. Clear.
Okay. And then the next page is simply the numbers we went over in a pie chart form, which is just another visual to compare that. You can see the administration, public works, and public safety are the lion's share of the county budget. Then the points of interest, getting into some of the specific departments. The recreation department is running well under budget. The building maintenance is to this date, although a lot of the COVID expenditures, we put them into that budget, and I suspect next month that number will change quite a bit through no fault of maintenance, but just the fact that we have to account for those expenditures. The public works, the general fund is significantly under, as well as the SPLOST for public works, and that's primarily because we reduced the number of projects we normally have this year, anticipating that the future as far as revenue coming in would be an unknown. So we thought it was wise, we did this several months ago, to cut back on those projects. So to this point, the new SPLOST on the public works is also significantly under. And Mr. Ratcliffe, we've completed the paving projects that we contracted out, have we not?
Yeah.
That was on Sugar Creek and Curtis Switch and Galloway. Those were all including widening and smoothing some surfaces out, and I have to say those look really good. And it actually the bid came under budget so far, has it not?
It did.
Okay. That's a real positive to do that. So we haven't paid for that yet, and again, that project was paid for partially from SPLOST, from a LMIC grant from the state, and that covered a big chunk of that project. The fire department budget is showing red, almost 34,000. Again, that's a timing issue on the lease payments on a new fire truck. That will reduce it as the year goes on. And the sheriff's department is running over. That's salaries, timing on some uniforms, and a little timing on some capital outlay, and that number from all those should come down as the year moves on towards the end. Any questions on those items, Commissioner?
No, I'm good with it.
Okay. And through the end of September, the county is running 1% under budget on expenditures, and that does include the COVID expenditures that we have incurred so far. So everybody, department heads, elected officials, everyone's very well aware of the challenge we have, and I'm pretty pleased for the most part that we've had good cooperation in trying to keep our expenses down this year. If you look at the last page, the lost local option sales tax and SPLOST collections certainly are doing well in the county, and of course that is related to the tourism business. And you know, people can have their thoughts about seeing a lot of cars, a lot of tourists, a lot of people up here. We understand the negatives with that, but when it looks at the revenue and what that does to help the county financially, there's certainly a big plus on that. And the idea that the lost and SPLOST collections take a lot of pressure off of the citizens, the long-term citizens that have been here that are concerned about their personal property taxes, and those bills are just now going out. So if you look at all the other funds that we have for revenue and that type of tourism, knock on wood, is doing well so far this year. We don't know yet because of the impact on people that live here, that work here, that are having to deal with the pandemic and what it has done to them financially. And I worry about that part of it greatly. So it's good for us to realize these numbers look good, but we haven't. We just started now getting the property tax bills out and getting payments in on that. And we certainly don't We don't know until the end of the year, past the end of the year, how that part of the puzzle is going to work out. We did receive a real windfall from the state, and this was a statewide error. It was not an error in Fannin County's reporting, but the state went back for the years 2015 through 2018 and found that there was an error from a firm, and I'll just say it's a big box retailer that has locations in every county and sometimes many locations in counties in the state. You can guess what that is, but there was a reporting error that they caught, and so we were the beneficiaries of those funds, and it accounted for about $700,000 in additional lost and lost funds that we received in September. So when you look at that graph, and it looks like we're doing well, which we are, but you have to take about 300 out of the lost and 400 out of the SPLOST numbers to really compare just how we're really doing without that windfall. So it's kind of rare for someone to make an error in our favor like that, but we'll take, you'll have plenty of money to spend after the first year, Commissioner Patterson. Just put it in a piggy bank for you.
I got it.
Overall, the county, and I have continued up this day to go to other events that I'm required to go to on committees for that has a regional impact. And our counties around us, they're all struggling on the expenditures and the revenues. And this is a challenge for every county. We've been very blessed with things that have happened here. I mean, the folks that have contracted this terrible disease and folks that have passed away, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking, and you struggle to think of what can you do to do more for this. But you look at it from a personal standpoint, and I won't say too much about our police chief. I have long-term and great relations with him, and that has just stunned me and our community over what's happened to him. And I just pray for him every day and his family. But for the county, we're doing pretty well. We're watching our expenses, and the revenues are doing well so far, but we're not going to know what that is till the end of the year. So my direction is, it's already, I'm a conservative by nature, and I intend to be ultra conservative with everything that I can impact countywide for the rest of this year. And just hope that the folks, the new board of commissioners, which you'll be a part of, that our county will be in better shape than some of our neighbors. That's really my goal, and I hope that's the way things work out. Any further thoughts or questions on this, Commissioner Patterson?
No, sir.
All right.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, we need executive session.
I don't need it.
All right. I'll make a motion that we adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, folks.